Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gertis, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
This is the Real Estate 401k Show. I'm your host, Mike Weinstein, alongside my co-host for the day, Justin Frederick. We want you to text the word boomer to 623AZ Recon. That's boomer to 623AZ Recon. You're going to want to have a conversation with us, and you're going to want to have a conversation with one of our real estate wealth managers. Justin, we've spent so much time over the last couple years, especially since COVID, talking about inventory. It's always about inventory. Inventory is low. Supply is still high. A lot of first-time home buyers are getting priced out of the market. The question is why? Where are all the homes going? Because you drive around Maricopa County, you drive around Phoenix, you see a lot of construction. You see a lot of wood going up. You can now drive for an hour and a half from one end of the valley to the other end of the valley and just see nothing but homes. And so it doesn't compute. So where are all the homes going? Well, apparently the majority of the homes are, they're being purchased by baby boomers, those that born between, I think it's 46 and 1964. They account for between years 21 and 2022, they accounted for 39% of all home purchases.
That's a huge number.
It's a huge
number just for 18 years of individuals. That's a shocking number to me.
Shocking.
But I mean, looking from our transactions, that sounds completely accurate. And look at what they're doing. They're investing in real estate.
Mm-hmm. That's my point. Yeah,
that's easy to see. It's not
like baby boomers are now going out buying their first home.
Right.
They're investing and they're buying up as many homes as they can.
They're looking at real property for their investments. It looks like they've probably. I mean, from that age group, they've seen crazy stock market times. They've seen crazy housing market times, but it looks like they're putting their money into something that they can see because they've probably learned over that period of time that that's the right investment.
And that's the point that I was getting to. But before I do that, for some people, they might go, 39% of all home buyers are represented by baby boomers. Maybe it doesn't seem like that high of a number. The other thing we haven't talked about in a long time, and I don't know the stat. It's been a while since I've looked it up. So you got 39% of home buyers between 21 and 22. Between 21 and 22 were baby boomers. We have, especially here in Arizona and Maricopa County, a large number of homes being purchased by just strictly investment groups, hedge funds, and so forth. They make up a good number of buyers, and so therefore there's not a lot left over for the millennials and I don't even know what the Gen X's and I don't even know what I am anymore, right? And so there's not
You're
a lot.
A boomer.
I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. There's just not a lot of left over, and not trying to scare anyone, but it's just putting things into perspective. Of this is why first-time home buyers or younger buyers are having such a hard time. And I love your point because, you can't say that the market is bad because people are buying homes. If the market was truly bad and if we were heading for a market crash, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be selling homes. People wouldn't be buying homes. So the question is not, is the market going to crash or when is the market going to crash? The question is who's buying all the homes And should I learn something from them, and should I take a lesson from them?
Especially investors that are buying the homes. If investors stop buying homes, then that's when you start questioning things. But when investors are out there purchasing properties, like we've said, they do their research. They understand the market. It's not us just selling you something. They're doing it because they're in it to make money. That's what investments are. They're there to make money, and they understand the market. They've done their homework. They've looked at what is this area going to bring me in this amount of time? What am I going to be able to do to increase my portfolio of wealth? Right. So I agree, and to your point, what I want to say to the first-time home buyers out there, or somebody that's renting, yes, it may be uncomfortable to buy your first home because where interest rates are, or the amount of money that you have to take out of your investment or your savings account in order to purchase it. But I promise you, once you actually make that move, you're going to feel comfortable and you're going to understand what you're doing. If you get 2-3 years into owning a home and you see what that value's done, and that your payments haven't increased because you're on a 30-year fixed mortgage, you're not riding the rental wave of what rent demands are bringing in, because your investors are going to continue to increase that rent in order to have their property perform at what market value is bringing, right? It's just like being an investor. The first house that I bought as an investment property, I was very uncomfortable. I was putting down 25%. I was like, man, that's a lot of money, and I'm really not going to bring in that much rent over what my monthly liability was. But the moment that I did it, and now that payment's just made for me every month, and I get a little bit of change in my pocket. And some of my properties I don't get.
Well, since you got all this leftover change, I guess you're paying for golf today, right?
Yeah, right. But it was a step I had to take. You have to, to grow, you got to be uncomfortable.
All right, if you are looking to take advantage of the market, or at the very least just have a conversation with one of our real estate wealth managers, all you got to do is text the word boomer to 623-AZ-RECON. That's boomer to 623-AZ-RECON. You bring up, man, I could just bring a lot of interesting points there, Justin. One of the things, it is a vicious cycle. Part of this article that we're reading is, going back to baby boomers, we mentioned that they represent 39% of the buyer market between 2021 and 2022. But to your point is they're buying to make money. They are now taking advantage of the younger generations. And between 2021 and 2022, boomers represented 53% of all sellers. So it becomes a vicious cycle. I remember my very first home I ever bought, I think it was like $87,500 in 1998. And I look back and go, man, I wish I would have bought 5 of those or 10 of those. Or some people look back and go, man, I wish I would have gotten to the game when home prices were X. Now they're Y, and they're just too much money. Home prices will continue to go up. So if my $87,500 home back then is now worth $400,000, and I could look at it and go, oh my gosh, I would never pay $400,000 for a home because it used to be $87,500. If you wait another 10, 15 years, that $400,000 home is going to be $550,000. Home prices are just going to continue to go up. You can't necessarily look in the past. You have to seize the moment. You have to take advantage of what is in front of you, because if you buy real estate, you will make money on it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Get into it. You can't go back in time, just like you're saying. But if you're going to be one of those people that are like, okay, well the rates today, I had many of these in 2019. I would say. The rate is 3.875. I'm just waiting for the rates to get 2.99. Oh my gosh, you always find a reason not to do it. But okay, let's talk about 87,000. All right. So What did you have to put down? $3,000?
Bro, this was in 1998. I'm going to assume it was 3.5% FHA.
Sure.
I
roughly.
wasn't in real estate at the time. I just bought a house because my broker, who was a kind of like a real estate wealth manager, he's like, don't rent. You got to go out and buy a house.
So let's talk about this. So let's just assume it was $3,000. Let's say $4,000, okay? Well, you could have been paying somebody else's mortgage. It cost you $4,000. Let's say you still own the home today, and it's worth $400,000. So $313,000 of equity that you just made by just living there. Even if you didn't fix a damn thing in the house, it would still probably be worth.
Bro, it was a racket I had going.
Yeah,
it was. I think my mortgage payment was, and for those of you crying about interest rates, my rate was somewhere in the high sevens.
Okay.
At that time. So put things into perspective. Okay, so don't cry about interest rates. Okay, the interest rate is just one of the numbers, and I'm glad I got into the game. But my mortgage payment was somewhere around $900. I had 2 roommates, each paying $450 a month. I was out of pocket every single month, $100. It was on the golf course, dude. It was the way to go.
And if you're thinking about interest rates, okay, let's talk about that. So you're high sevens. Let's just say you're 7 3/4, right? In that period of time between then and now, we've seen 30-year fixes below 2% in that period of time, and we've also seen interest rates go above 8% in that period of time. So there's opportunities to reduce that interest rate in that period of time to save more money. But one thing that we know, although the rates have fluctuated, that value has just continued to rise. Yeah, there's hills and valleys, but it always goes up.
All right, if you're interested in learning more about the real estate market and getting into the game, all you got to do is text the word BOOMER to 623-AZ-RECON. That's BOOMER to 623-AZ-RECON. And God rest his soul, Mark Arns was my agent at the time. And when I got my real estate license, 4 or 5 years later, he was my broker. Or he wasn't the broker, he was the owner of the company. And, I don't think about it often enough. But he changed my life. He changed my trajectory because we were going to lunch one day. He picked me up. We were going to lunch, and he was larger than life. He was like he was a cross between John Candy and I can't remember the name of the other guy. He was just he wore these cut off tuxedo shirts. He drove around in a black stretch limo. I mean,
he lived the life the way he wanted to.
Chris Farley, that's who I was
Chris
thinking
Farley,
about.
okay.
Yeah. And one day we're going to lunch. He goes, "What are you doing this weekend?" I go, "Oh man, I got to go out and find an apartment." He goes, "Why rent when you can own?" I'm like, "Dude, you haven't seen my W-2s. I can tell you why I'm not, And so I needed a little bit of help from my parents and so forth. But that afternoon, he drove me down. I don't think they're still in existence, Trend Homes. And we went down, and I put a couple $100 down on earnest money, and they built the home from the ground up. So 7, 8, 9 months later, I own my own home. And I had that experience. I sold the home within 12 months, and I put $10,000 in my pocket, and that it just changed my life because it took that one piece of real estate. I wasn't crying about the market. I wasn't crying about interest rates. I'm like, well, I can piss away all my money renting, or Mark's telling me I can build equity and I can start building my future in real estate. And I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm a freaking podcast host.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
It's
a good
great
looking
story.
one at that.
You keep telling yourself that, buddy.
I know. So with that, as and one of the things that we do, and I think it's very unique, is our approach to sellers. You talked about how when you bought your first investment property, you had to put 25% down. What we like to tell people, if you are in the market to buy, if you own a home and you're in the market to buy another home, we naturally think that the natural process is sell home A to go buy home number B. Well, when you go buy home number B, you don't have to put 25% down, right? You're going to either put probably 5% down. Keep home A and turn that into an income-producing property. That's what Mark didn't teach me. And that's why I sold home number A, because I went and bought home number B. God, if I still had that $87,500 home today and the 5 other homes that I sold on my journey because nobody grabbed me by the ears and said, dude, do not sell. Hang on. Hold.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to say that don't go after your forever home until later down the road, after you've accomplished your goals on how many properties you want to get. When you're young and you're trying to, or when you're trying to build wealth and build an investment portfolio, look at these properties as, hey, I'm going to live here for a year, and then I'm going to purchase another home to live in for a year. But they're all going to eventually be investment properties until you're ready, until you've completed that portfolio that you think, or at least you're making enough funds to where you could buy investments with a large down payment. But play that game. Use those guidelines and those rules to your advantage. 5% down is a beautiful thing with a primary interest rate.
Well, like any game, if you want to be successful, you got to have the strategy. And what we specialize here at the Real Estate 401k show in our team of real estate wealth managers alongside Justin, our resident lender, is helping you build that strategy, whatever it looks like. I absolutely love it when our listeners text into the show and they just like, I just want to talk real estate. Mm-hmm. I just want to talk shop. I just want to talk strategy. How did you do it? Or this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to do. What are your thoughts on that? Have a lot of conversations every week. And if you'd like to have one of those conversations and just start talking strategy as far as building wealth in real estate, all you got to do is text the word boomer to 623-AZ-RECON. That's boomer to 623-AZ-RECON.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.